Well guys, I bought another thing. Check this out. This is the 1/10 scale Swinub 4x4 pickup, which online it is known as the HG-P409, which I find it funny it is not designated as such anywhere on the packaging other than there's an item number that I believe is on the bottom that starts with 409. But anyway, this is what I've got. This is a Tamiya Hilux high lift clone, and I have always wanted a Tamiya Hilux high lift. As a matter of fact, I actually had a picture of a high lift under my desk in high school with hopes of someday having the money to spend to buy one, which I did not. Obviously, it was a $700 kit that didn't come with all the electronics and stuff, so yeah, my parents would not swing for that, and rightly so. So, they have a complete clone. I'm pretty sure it's made with cheaper materials, but I mean, it was like $270. I used some of my golf cart money from selling that to buy myself something, which I really didn't want to do. The family actually kind of pushed me into it. They're like, just go buy the damn thing. And I'm like, I don't like spending money on myself, so they actually had to push me into buying this, so I did. I wanted the green camouflage one, but unfortunately that one is either sold out everywhere or out of production. I couldn't find one anywhere that couldn't be shipped more than 40 business days from the day of purchase, so I got a black one. Not ideal, but I mean, whatever, black's cool. Same driver as the HG-P407, Changxing Wang. Toyota, obviously. All you gotta do is flip a couple of the letters and it says Toyota. And their grammar is a lot better on this box than on the 407. It still says backward. I don't know why there's a space in one and not the other. 3 gears. Primarily plastic with some metal accents here and there. But anyway, enough of this. I am not going to do a full unboxing because I think those are extremely boring. Who cares what kind of tissue paper this thing's wrapped in? Let's just look at the truck. Alright, and here is the truck itself. I have actually tested it for about 4 minutes. It's pretty fun to drive except for the 1.5 miles of slop and bump steer in the rear. I was actually very careful when driving it, so it's not dirty, it's not scratched, anything. I took one of those Toyota logos and made it say Toyota, although I will have to replace the A because it is too low and it's driving me nuts. So, I'm going to do what I did on the 407. I'm going to paint the window trim chrome, door handle, around the windshield, and I'm going to change the windshield wipers out to the metal spring-loaded. This one was missing the quarter panel marker light on the driver's side, but luckily I had an extra and I went ahead and I painted it amber. The neighbor's dog is very irritating. Good looking truck. I wish the 407 had this panel here. Instead it's got the big dip there. Anyway, obviously same body and everything. Same tail lights, everything. This cutout just needs to be punched out to have it on the 407, and there is no auxiliary door, which I really wish there was because it looks bizarre. I mean, even if you could just snap it in, I want this door. They need to sell this to me separately. What I didn't realize at the time when I got my 407, when it had that ugly rear chrome camper cab thing, is I wanted the roll bar, but I didn't know where to find it other than to buy actual Tamiya, and this was about $80 for all this when I could have got the entire truck body with a roll bar for less than that. I think it's like 75 bucks. So that was annoying. Plus this body comes with tinted windows. I kind of like that, especially since I haven't changed the interior yet. But anyway, enough of the 407 and its, you know, giant, huge, awesome tires, which this one does not have, unfortunately. But this one does have four-wheel steering, which is a lot of fun. What I would like to do is I would like to figure out how to lower it just a little bit. So instead of it being this really ridiculous, almost comically unreal height, which it is, if you ever see somebody like this in public, which you rarely do, you find yourself doing this at them out the window of your car. But what I would like to do is I'd like to bring it down just a little. Just to right there. That's a believable height. I mean, yeah, somebody could use that without it being just like way up there. It's like on stilts. I don't quite like that. I'm going to paint up the grille. This body is warped in a couple places, so the hood kind of has an arc to it. I don't know if they just tightened down the grille screws too much. I'm going to look into that. We're going to be taking the heat gun to this, because also one of the quarter panels is warped. See if we can see that. They're kind of punched in, especially this one. It's turned in really far, which is kind of making the wheel arch kind of weird. This is a quick look at some of the slop, which I have already determined is the bell crank is actually flexing. So, can't even see the bell crank. And I actually was playing with the spare bell crank and realized that one end of this is just left with slop. This actually is built with slop in it. So maybe we can fix that or just build another one out of metal. I really like the metal skid plate, metal drive lines. I think the gears inside are metal, in the axles anyway, in the diffs. And the transmission gears are all plastic, but they're those tough style, like Tamiya plastic gears that like the Hornet and stuff have, so I'm not terribly worried about that. There's a lot of slop in this front hanger. I don't know if it's just loose or if it's just poor manufacturing. It's probably both. I think it's just loose. Yeah, I can spin the bolt. So I need to get up here and tighten everything on the truck. These trucks don't come with a battery, so I'm just using the one for the 407. I just stuffed it in there. And the battery cable for the receiver is so short, you have to use long, thin needle nose pliers to plug it in, and man, it takes a long time. So I actually went to Hobbytown and I had them solder up an extension, so I'm going to cut it and solder this in. Just a word of caution, if you buy one of these, don't take it to your hobby shop. I took it with me. I was kind of proud of it. I don't normally spend that kind of money on myself, and man, they laid into me for this. They did not like any part of this truck. They didn't like that it was electric. They didn't like that it was a Toyota. They didn't like that it was in their shop. They didn't like that I was inconveniencing their time by walking in their store and trying to buy parts, which I wanted to get Metal Gear servos and new wheels and tires because they're 12mm hex, so obviously they would have that there, and they wouldn't even talk to me about wheels and tires. They just poo-pooed it away, said it was junk and needed a new body and needed a new frame, motor, wheels, tires, everything, because it's obviously not what they like to sell there. So I spent like $4 on this and left. Bought my son something, but I'll never be going into another Hobbytown USA again in my entire life. So anyway, let's get the body off this thing and see what the chassis looks like and see if we can't figure out why some of this is warped. To take this off, you need to take off, I believe, 2, 4, 6, there's 7 screws actually. 2 on this side, 2 on the other, 2 in the rear, and 1 in the front. And obviously they give you Allen keys for that. Lots of tools, lots of extra parts. There's my locking pins for my diff, front and rear, so I can lock the differentials. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this body off and let's have a look at what's inside. Alright, and here's a look at the insanely weird looking insides. Ignore the fact that people are texting me right now. Insanely weird looking insides. Huh. That's cool. It already comes with all the electronics installed. That is the smallest receiver I think I have ever seen. Of course, I haven't really been into RC for a while. I'm kind of on and off with RC. Like, I'll be into it real hardcore for a few months, and then I just won't have any interest in it for a year or two, and then it'll just kind of come back. It just comes and goes. But this thing legitimately looks 100% like a Hilux high lift. That is crazy how close that is. I really need to do something about this slop, because that is, I mean, she's already really squirrely. I mean, you are not driving this thing fast. It's not going to happen because the rear end's fishtailing the whole time. So I need to figure out how to get the slop out of this bell crank. Alright, and if I hold this part vertically, you can see that there's actually a lot of travel in it. Hang on. It's like it has 2 clicks of travel there. Well, it turns out that there's really probably not a lot I can do to save these bell cranks. I'm going to have to find a replacement somehow or make them. That is very unfortunate, because that is just an unacceptable amount of play. Four-wheel steer is really cool though, and then so is the crab walk, obviously, and then rear wheel steer only, which is impossible to drive with at best because of this little problem. And you can hear that there's no grease on those gears anywhere. Alright, well, it's been a few days. I've been trying to figure out a solution to our horrible flexible plastic bell crank issue. In the meantime, I actually have put the 2 braces on here to lock out the 4-wheel steering. But what I've come up with, I actually found they do make a metal replacement for the bell crank for the Tamiya Hilux high lift, except every website sold out of it. So I found this one, which looks like it might bolt up, but it's, I'm hoping I pronounce this right, Integi, or Integi, or I don't know how the heck you'd pronounce that, but probably Integi. But it's a V2 billet machine steering bell crank set for 1/14 semi-tractor truck. That's a mouthful. Not a toy. And you have to assemble it, obviously. It looks like a pretty good part. It's hard to see, but it is laser engraved Integi. There's the actual arms themselves that go on there. There's a center shaft that is splined, some ball bearings, some ball studs, and other assorted hardware. So I will try to get this thing assembled, and let's see if we can take some of the slop out of the rear wheel steering so I can actually play with this truck. I've only played with this thing twice, and it was just completely unmanageable with the horrible 1.5 miles of slop back here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the truck off the bench, open this package, and get this thing put together. Alright, fast forward a few more days, and I have it all installed. Here is the new bell crank. Amazingly, that did not stop all the slop. I figured out that it was a lot of slop in the servo saver itself, and the fact that these ball joints are just junk. These are the stock plastic ball joints. They're just press fit. I need to get some higher quality rod ends, and that should take care of a lot of the slop. I also went ahead and I drilled a hole here and added this spring to try to pull the servo saver and the top of this together so there's no slop here. So there's only a little now. It has actually become a lot more drivable just because of that spring. And I also gave the rear end an alignment because I noticed that this wheel was cocked inward when this one was straight. So that really made it squirrely to drive. So now they're slightly toe out. which I don't even think you'd be able to see that, actually. They're just ever so slightly toe out, so it just kind of tracks straight on its own, which helped out immensely. Now, the plan for this truck is I want to get some bigger wheels and tires. I'm looking at some 1.55 bead locks. I'm thinking it will fill it out a little bit better. And as for these plastic differentials, these will be going away. I don't like that. I don't like that these are a weak spot right here. This is going to break, and they don't make aluminum axle housings for these anymore. They've been discontinued, so that sucks. Hopefully they'll start making them again. That would be really cool. But what I want to do is I want to get a couple of metal Yoda Ultimate Scale axles from RC 4-wheel drive and put them in here. But what I'm going to do is I want to maintain my 4-wheel steering, so I'm just going to get 2 of the front ends and flip it in the rear. So that's going to be kind of neat, because a lot of people just go with the straight axle in the back, but I mean, pretty much you're just trying to make a Hilux high lift into a bruiser at that point, and I already have one of those. I want something that's fun. I like the rear wheel steering with the crab walking and all that. It's neat. The only other things I'm going to do with it is I want to change the front bumper out to one from a Hilux high lift, because this one is one from a bruiser and the license plate is behind here instead of hanging down here. I'm going to get the grill for a Hilux high lift, so I'll have the Toyota logo, and it'll also have this little lower valance down here to attach the license plate. Plus I want to get the decal sheet for the high lift, and I want to do the two-tone silver and black with the tribal junk back here, just like in the photo. So that is my plan as of right now. Let me know what you think of the truck, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.